Together we break chains. Together we break chains. Together we break chains. Oh, together we break chains. 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 Together we break chains.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? It's your girl Together We Break Chains production, and this is my first upload of 2024. And I'm coming to you with a very, very heartbreaking and tragic story. This story broke my heart, and I had to do a few recordings, just to get myself together because I became so emotional. We in the Wolfpack Nation, we had a story that B Rob had already covered about a 1 year old child that was brutally beaten by the parent to the point of the child not being recognizable, okay? So this one is a 4 year old child that was brutally beaten over potty training. Mom will now spend 42 years in prison. And at first, I thought it was just the mother alone, but the father also has been imprisoned as well, and he gets 70 years for the abuse. But I'm kind of thinking that the way it read, that the father was the one that lost his temper and took the child's life in anger. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this story, you guys, and my prayers go up for the rest of the family, and the siblings. He wasn't the only one that suffered the abuse of the mother and the father. There have been calls in the past, and the children or the child was placed in protective services, and they end up giving the parents back the kid. And this is what happened when the parent was able to get the kid back. The kid is no longer here. And while in court, the foster mother that took care of the child prior to going back to his parents was there, and it's really disheartening that these courts will give back, these children to these crazed out of their mind people that have a history of violence. Okay, so let me get into this story. The mother of a 4 year old Indiana boy was duct taped, okay, and he was found in the basement, you guys. All right, he was found in the basement. They starved him, and he had bruises all over his body, so let me go ahead. The mother of a 4 year old Indiana boy, duct taped, tortured, and beaten until he's no longer here over potty training issues, you guys. She has been sentenced, the mother, to nearly a half a century in prison in connection to his brutal slaying and for abusing another one of her sons when he was a toddler. So these abusive people have been doing this for a very long time. That's what I'm saying. When it comes to CPS or DHS or whatever you guys call it, President Clinton said that he didn't want them if they were previously abused because they're considered spoiled goods. So this is why this child was able to be sent back home to his parents, because he was already spoiled goods, as Clinton said. Okay, so this is why these things happen. Now, if it's a good kid that has never had any issues, of course they want to keep those kids away from their parents and then turn these kids out to be, horrible. Okay, so Mary Yoder, 28, pleaded guilty in August of 2023 to felony neglect of a dependent in October the 11th of 2021. The demise of her son, Judah Morgan. Okay, this is in LaPorte County Circuit Court records, and this is what they're showing, that she has been you guys, my I'm still feeling the effects of this. She's gonna be serving a long time. Yoder also pleaded guilty to a separate felony domestic battery charge for beating her youngest child when he was 23 months old. That is absolutely disgusting. So you guys were beating on these kids and you have a history of violence and child abuse. You should have never ever ever been able, I don't care how many classes, you should have never been able to get your children back if you have had calls in the past. Oh, this is so ridiculous. Let me go ahead. Authorities said the abuse and the demise took place in the family's home near Kingsford Heights, a small town in Union Township, south of Lake Michigan, and about 30 miles southwest of South Bend. Okay, I was reading that right. My dog is kind of distracting me. I don't know why dogs chase their tail, but that's what he's doing. Prosecutors said Yoder did nothing to stop the ongoing torture and abuse Judah received by his father, 30-year-old Alan Morgan, who Indiana Department of Correction records show is serving a 70-year prison sentence for his son's demise and other charges. So she gets 49, he gets 70. I think that they both should have got 70 if you ask me. Even the death penalty wouldn't have been good enough for them. Right now, I think they both should have been planning their last meals, if you ask me. A second child abused at 23 months old. During a hearing Friday, Judge Thomas Alvizos, I don't know, I'm sorry, Alvizos, I don't know how to say that, sentenced Yoder to 42 years in prison for the attack on her children. A combined 37 years for the neglect charge on Judah, a 5 year and 5 years, for the battery charge on her other son. So this is crazy. 42, 37, and 5. Okay. I still say they should be planning their last meal. That if I was the prosecutor, honey, they'd be planning their last meal. Okay? And that last meal would be a slushy. That's all you get. You're not going to get no extravagant meal. You're going to get a slushy. All right? Naked and covered in a blanket with bruises all over his body, Morgan pleaded guilty to charges including, how do they say it? Execution and battery in the boy's demise, because they don't want to use certain words, all these sensitive folks, and was sentenced on November the 29th, according to the Indiana Department of Corrections. The LaPorte County Sheriff's Office reported deputies responded to the family's home on October the 11th of 2021 for a report of an unconscious child. According to officials, Yoder, after they beat the baby up and did what they did, called 911 and said Morgan lost his temper and hurt the boy. Honey, let me tell you something. If there's a man up here beating on my kid, I'm going to be having a charge too, because I'm going to pick up whatever's going to knock all the brain cells and knock his snot box out. Because you're not going to sit here and beat my child like you big punk. And I hope wherever he is, they kick his butt too. An eye for an eye. Ain't that what the Bible say? An eye for a freaking eye. So you need to get your snot box rocked. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of these stupid, ignorant adults beating up on these children that can't fight back. It's just unheard of. I'm sorry. I wish there was like an automatic button on a child when an adult is hurting that child, that there's an automatic shock system that'll shock the crap out of them until they have a stroke. That's my wish. It was a built-in mechanism for these children. This is like, I'm angry. I'm really angry, and I know you guys can tell. I'm really angry. I'm sick of people having children, beating on children. If you came from an abusive background, unless you got serious counseling and therapy, you don't need to have no children. Period. Because any little thing can trigger you to flash out. This is what I don't understand. Why would you give these kids back to them knowing the history that they have? I'm really angry with the judicial system. They're sick. At the home, investigators found Judah in a bedroom, WRTV reported, naked and covered in a blanket with bruises all over his body and on his face and head. See, this is what I'm talking about. This man must have been punching this baby like he was Mike Tyson or something. And I'm not making no jokes. I'm just saying that's hard. That's how hard that man must have been punching on this baby. A helpless 4-year-old child, okay? He was pronounced unalive at the scene. The sheriff's office reported, and an autopsy conducted the next day found the boy passed away as a result of a homicide. Court records obtained by the outlet shows Judah was duct taped in a basement and ultimately starved. After his demise, Yoder told investigators the boy was sent to the basement about 3 times a week as punishment, the outlet reported, for not being potty trained. I'm sorry, my dog jumped on me. Not being potty trained like his other 3 siblings in the house. Well, that's when you take time. And the child probably couldn't be potty trained because you probably was bopping him upside the head every chance you got. That don't make sense. No real justice. And this is going to be like the part that hurt me the most is the foster mother had to sit in the court and listen to all these horrible things that took place with this baby that she had. You know, had they left him with this woman, this child would still be here. The boy, the outlet reported, spent the first 4 years of his life with his foster parents until the Indiana Department of Child Services gave custody back to his parents. Now, with that, I think that whoever the social workers were that allowed these parents to get the kids back, I think they should go to prison too. Because you saw, you knew, and there was nothing hidden from you. You saw, you knew what was going on in that house. You knew their history. So I think that all of those that were just like out here, I forgot that little boy named Hernandez, I think. The social worker let him go back to his mom and they tortured that little boy and took his life. All the CPS workers that worked on that case, today they are in prison for the rest of their lives. And I think that that's what should happen to all these social workers that know that these parents have a history of abuse and they take them kids and put them back in that home or even in a foster home. I think that every person, a foster parent, and the social workers, all of them, supervisors, all of them need to go to prison for the rest of their lives because they allowed this to happen. The CPS is supposed to be a safe haven for these children, not somebody to come and get the kids and mistreat them. They've already been through hell and high water. Okay? So I think that they need to change some rules. Yeah, you can still get your money, but put their asses in jail. Put them in prison. No parole. No possibility. Because if it wasn't for your poor judgment and you thinking about them coins, those kids wouldn't be not here today or hurt or, you know, some grown adult slid between the sheets with a little girl or a little boy. Okay? Or you out there pimping the child. Whatever it is, you need to go to prison for the rest of your life. Ultimately, there is no real justice for Judah, but we pray for some sense of it. The outlet reported Gina Hullett, the boy's former foster mother, said during Friday's court hearing, the only solace we have is knowing that Judah is no longer suffering. Exactly. He's no longer suffering because they took his life. They don't know what this baby could have been. They just snuffed his life out like he was nothing. Like he was absolutely nothing. And I think with that being said, they need to suffer whatever consequences that come along. So you guys, don't forget to hit that like button, that post notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm really emotional, and I'm out.